Welcome back to our channel. Devon had not planned to return to the old gym. The building had stood for years in quiet neglect, its doors sealed, its windows clouded with the dust of abandonment. The outer walls, once painted in bright, welcoming colors, had faded to a dull, peeling gray. Weeds grew unchecked along the base, twisting between cracks in the concrete. The wind carried a faint metallic tang, as if the building itself was rusting away from the inside. Yet on this night, something stronger than curiosity drove Devon forward. It was an instinct sharpened by weeks of suspicion, a gut-deep certainty that whatever truths had been buried here were not meant to stay hidden. The lock on the side door was old, its mechanism weakened by years of disuse. The metal groaned in protest as Devon forced it open, the creak echoing into the hollow darkness beyond. The air inside was thick with the scent of dust and mildew. Each step kicked up motes that swirled in the thin shaft of light filtering through a broken pane near the ceiling. The gym floor, warped by time and water damage, bore faint outlines of where equipment had once stood. Long-forgotten weights lay in a corner, rusting in silence. Mirrors still lined the walls, streaked with age. Some cracked, others completely shattered, their jagged edges catching faint glints of light. Devon's gaze swept over the room, searching for something, though what exactly? There was no clear answer. The silence was heavy, pressing against the eardrums like deep water. The only sound was the faint hum of distant traffic outside and the occasional creak of settling beams. Then, a detail caught Devon's eye. One mirror on the far wall stood out. Too pristine in its placement, its edges slightly misaligned compared to the others. Crossing the warped boards, Devon stood before it, fingertips brushing against the cold glass. The surface trembled faintly beneath the touch, as if not firmly secured. Testing the edges, Devon found a small give at one corner. With a cautious pull, the mirror shifted, revealing the outline of a hidden panel behind it. The faint scent of stale air wafted out, the kind that only accumulates in places long sealed. Behind the panel lay a shallow recess in the wall. Inside, an assortment of objects lay neatly arranged as if placed there with deliberate care. A small external hard drive sat next to a stack of mini DV tapes, their plastic cases cloudy with dust. Beside them rested a worn notebook, its pages yellowed and its once dark ink faded into a pale, almost ghostly gray. Devon reached for the notebook first, flipping through brittle pages covered in cramped handwriting. Some words had blurred beyond recognition, others remained legible enough to suggest personal records, notes, and dates that seemed to hint at events both mundane and deeply private. The hard drive felt cold and inert in Devon's palm, but its weight was unsettling, as if it carried more than mere data. The tapes, labeled only with single dates in black marker, exuded an aura of secrecy. Devon's mind churned. Vernon had always guarded certain aspects of his past with ferocity. But the presence of this hidden archive suggested something far darker than personal privacy. Driven by a compulsion to know, Devon found an old camcorder in the corner. Its casing scuffed but functional. Dust puffed into the air as one of the mini DV tapes clicked into place. The tape whirred softly as the small screen flickered to life. The picture grainy but discernible. The image that emerged froze Devon's breath. Barbara, standing rigid, her expression taut with barely contained emotion, was facing Vernon. The two were locked in a confrontation, their postures bristling with unspoken history. Vernon's shoulders were tense, his jaw set, while Barbara's hands moved sharply as she gestured, the kind of movements born of frustration, fear, or both. Though no sound came through on the playback, the visual tension was unmistakable. Barbara's eyes flashed with something close to desperation. Vernon remained composed but unyielding, his stillness an unsettling contrast to her agitation. Then, without warning, Barbara stepped closer, her movements sharper, her expression twisted into a look that blended anger and resolve. The recording cut off abruptly, replaced by the mechanical hum of the camcorder. Devon sat frozen, the weight of what had just been seen pressing hard against the chest. The image lingered in the mind's eye. Barbara's tense face, Vernon's unreadable stillness. The absence of audio made the scene all the more haunting, leaving every possible interpretation hanging in the air like a blade. The urge to dig deeper battled with the awareness that every second spent here risked exposure. Devon packed the notebook, hard drive, and tapes into a bag, casting one last glance at the hidden compartment before resecuring the mirror. The building seemed to hold its breath as Devon left, each step toward the exit feeling heavier than the last. By morning, the news had spread. Barbara was dead. The announcement came with the sterile finality of a police report, but it struck Devon like a blow. The details were scarce, the cause withheld, the circumstances described only as under investigation. The faces around town wore a mixture of shock and subdued speculation. But beneath the surface, an unspoken current of fear threaded through every conversation. In Devon's mind, the memory of the tape replayed relentlessly. Barbara alive, confronting Vernon. Her face taut with urgency. Less than a day later, she was gone. The possibility of coincidence felt impossibly thin. The questions multiplied, each darker than the last. What had they been arguing about? What did Vernon have to hide that was worth burying behind a false wall? And if Barbara had threatened to reveal it, was her death truly an accident? The hidden compartment's contents now burned in Devon's possession, physical proof that something had been concealed for years. Each object carried a silent weight. An unspoken narrative waiting to be pieced together. The notebook's faded ink, the cryptic dates on the tapes, the cold, inscrutable hard drive, all threads in a tapestry that, once unraveled, could lead to truths far more dangerous than anticipated. The streets outside felt different in the days that followed, as if the air itself had grown more watchful. Devon noticed subtle changes. Conversations that stopped when passing by, strangers' glances that lingered too long, the faint hum of a car idling a block too far from where it should be. Whether it was paranoia or reality, it didn't matter, the effect was the same. The image of Vernon from the tape lingered with unnerving clarity. That stillness. That restraint. Not the face of a man caught off guard, but one calculating his next move. Devon could not shake the sense that Barbara's death was not the end of the matter, but the beginning of something far more dangerous. The truth, now partially unearthed, had sharp edges, and those edges were already drawing blood. In the quiet of night, with the objects from the hidden wall laid out before them, Devon understood the gravity of the choice ahead. Investigating further meant stepping into a current that would not release its grip until it had pulled everything under. But leaving the truth buried would mean living under the shadow of a lie, one that had already claimed a life. The dust-covered gym, the hidden compartment. The silent confrontation on grainy tape, and Barbara's sudden death formed a chain that linked past and present with unbreakable steel. Somewhere within that chain lay the answer to the question that now consumed every waking thought: who had killed Barbara, and how far were they willing to go to keep that secret locked away?